Hey there, welcome back to Creepy Encounters. In today's video, pretty sure my wife was almost a trafficking victim. A creepy meetup with a drug dealer. Creepy barber man. My wife and I travel often, city to city, and at one point we settled down in Vegas a few months. There was one night we were arguing after work, headed towards Henderson, city outside Vegas, lots of isolated streets out that way. I was sitting reclined back in the passenger seat when we ran over something and the tire definitely popped. My wife got out to check and confirmed it. Within seconds, a woman in a very nice car pulls up behind us. I saw she was a woman and I laid back in the seat, still mad, still stubborn and figuring she was just checking on my wife, assuming she was alone. The woman said she had a brother-in-law with a tow truck. He could definitely tow the car free of charge to a shop. My wife asked why she was being so kind and she said something like, "Us sisters gotta stick together, I'm helping you out." She then got back in the car and my wife told me she was going to follow us with her hazards onto this empty and dark parking lot in front of some grocery store nearby to get us out of the road. I still didn't think this was weird at all. My wife was very confident this woman was genuine and really wanted to help. So we pulled into the parking lot and my wife got out. I'm still laying back, this woman doesn't even know I'm here yet. She starts talking to my wife about how she changed her life within a year, she could put her on to what she does. It seems believable. She looked very nice and her car was definitely expensive. My wife keeps insisting she can just call a tow truck, she felt bad she was taking time from her, we could afford it. The woman kept insisting her brother-in-law was coming, be patient, he really doesn't mind. She even offered at some point to drive my wife around the area looking for a shop that was open, but my wife had already Googled some places. She told her that's smart and they kept talking. No suspicion, honestly. She then starts asking my wife why she's in Vegas, we had NY plates, she says for adventure and doing something new, blah blah blah. The woman asks if she has family she's close to or a boyfriend, she could introduce her to some friends to help her get well acquainted or whatever. She motions over to me and says, "Well, I have a husband," and the woman looked like a deer in the headlights. I politely waved. She leans over and finally sees me, stares for a few seconds and immediately gets in her car. Instantly. I never saw someone look at me like that, like she had to get away from me. She tells my wife she has to go to a store that's opening soon, her brother-in-law is taking too long but he will be there in an hour at least. She told her not to leave, he will come help, 1 hour, okay honey. My wife was confused and tried to ask if she'd be there too but the woman just drove off. We knew then that something was wrong with that situation. We both just stared at each other in confusion. I still have no idea why that happened. We called a towing company and fixed the car within 40 minutes, drove back to wait because my wife was persistent in believing the woman was going to come back or her brother-in-law would and she wanted to let them know she didn't need their help. I told her I don't think they're coming back, but we did wait. No one came for nearly 2 hours before we drove home. I did some research and found out a lot of traffickers use women because they seem more trustworthy. Vegas obviously has a large presence of these things as well. The woman was almost desperate to keep my wife there. It was also weird. Now when I look back, it seems more obvious that there was danger there, but in the moment, the woman was so charming and endearing that it seemed like she was genuinely trying to help. I still don't know, but I'm pretty sure she ran off because I was there and she didn't anticipate a man to be there. To give this some context, I'm very young, haven't made the best choices in life. I was at one point addicted to Xanax. I'm currently getting clean, this happened about 4 months ago. I couldn't find a good dealer, I was asking a few friends through certain messaging boards who could get me in. One guy pulled through, he told me to meet him down at this little gas station downtown. Now my city isn't big, it's decently sized but it's a town no one really cares about. I walked down to the gas station, bills in my pocket, just looking for the guy. When I saw him my blood ran cold, this dude was terrifying. He was about 6 feet 3 inches, abnormally skinny, probably the heavy drug use, and his eyes were just sunken in. Yes, I realize it was unsafe to go out during COVID, but I at the time really did not care. Now me, I'm about 5 feet 5 inches with a chubby build, I have no muscle, if I needed to fight someone off I would be unable. So I asked this guy if he has a mask he can put on before I come near, he obliges and puts on his mask. Once I finally drew closer, this dude had the smell of absolute death on him. I almost gagged. We walked just out of view of the store owner into the darkness, he hands me my pills and I hand him the money. This dude grabbed my wrist, hard. And for a very skinny dude I wasn't expecting that much force. My city is having big problems with drugs. A lot of people are either hardcore stoners or just full-blown drug addicts. I couldn't tell if he had taken something prior to meeting me, but the vibe was off from the beginning. "You should come to my place." I simply declined and told him I had to go home. His hands were like ice, tbh, they were freezing. I just wanted to go home. Once he got a little too close for comfort, I pulled away. He looked mildly disappointed, but this man was in his late 20s and I am still a teenager. I was uncomfortable. He looked me up and down one last time and told me to get home safe. I didn't like the way he said it. Something about it was off. As I walked away, he asked if I lived close and if I wanted him to walk me home. Obviously I said no. He tailed me for a bit until a cop drove by. That's when he split off. The cops here don't care if you're out at night. As long as you aren't stumbling around or disturbing anyone, you're free to walk about. He split off and I never saw him again. I never hit him up for drugs again. I used for a bit after that, but other than that I'm clean. All I have to say is, if your reliable dealer isn't available, I wouldn't meet some sketchy guy to get your fix. This could have ended worse. I'm lucky, some others aren't. To give you a bit of information about me, I'm a 16-year-old girl, and most of the time people assume I am older. For some reason I keep having weird encounters with older men that ask me questions, stare at me, or do other weird stuff, which I am kinda used to. However, this encounter is a new level of weird and creepy to me. So my friend and I hang out a lot outside. I always pick her up at her home, but when I do so I always have to pass by a barber shop. I never really look up when I walk alone because I get really anxious. I just focus on where I have to go and make sure not to get hit by a car or anything. So I got to my friend's house and we walked back to my place. On our way to my place we have fun and laugh about stupid things. When we talk I usually look around, and when I do so I notice an old man from the barber shop staring at me. I was still laughing and didn't think much of it. We didn't feel like going to my place, so instead we went to a park near my old school. My friend had also noticed the old man and told me that he was following us the whole time. I told her to just ignore it because I thought we were both just overreacting. Maybe he also needed to go this way. We both sat down on a bench and talked for a bit until the same man stood in front of us. Confused, we looked at each other and the guy suddenly started to ask questions. Not knowing those who he was talking to, I looked at my friend and then saw that he was staring at me. He asked me where I was from and how old I was. Now, because of this happening a lot and men leaving me alone when they hear I'm 16, I answered. For some reason he didn't believe me, so he asked me if I was sure. Irritated, I said yes and he left. Well, that's what we thought. My friend and I continued talking, and of course I'm looking at my surroundings because I just get easily distracted. That's when I see that same old man is still there and again, still staring at us. We had been talking for more than 20 minutes and he had been standing and staring the whole time. He noticed me and he finally left. This made me so irritated and mad that I told my friend to grab her stuff and follow me. We went to the barber shop and he stood there just smiling at us, starting to ask the questions again like he wasn't following us the whole time and just was being a creep. This got me angry and I started yelling at him, but of course, it didn't change anything. Eventually, when we had to go home, I brought my friend back and went back as well. Luckily the man wasn't there anymore. Every time I picked her up, the man would run out of his shop to stare at me with his creepy smile until I was out of sight. I was scared that he would follow me when I would be passing alone, so I eventually told my mom about it. We went to the shop, she got angry at the man and he stopped running out of his shop when he would see me passing by. This made me feel a bit more comfortable, but he would still smile and stare at me from the window. Well, that was all. Not the creepiest story, but it was creepy enough for me. Also, I'm sorry if the story is a bit all over the place. It wasn't a fun experience, so I tried to forget about it as soon as possible. Never thought that I would be sharing this on the internet. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more real-life creepy encounters around the world. See you in the next video. Bye.